Coronation Street airs a change for Jodie Ramsay in her ongoing storyline with Daniel Osborne. Weatherfield's devious schemer has been getting under his skin in recent weeks, but appears to show a change of heart in today's episode. After attempting to ruin Shona and David's marriage, Jodie has turned her attention to Daniel, who is going through upheaval of his own after it became common knowledge that his former flame, Megan Walsh, had groomed teen Will Driscoll. Feeling stressed, Daniel has spiraled after several people have questioned how much he knew about Megan's crimes, with an online troll, known as Truth Teller, having particularly harsh words for him. Unbeknownst to Daniel, Jodie is the figure behind the account, despite the fact that she has appeared to be friendly towards him. Today's episode of the ITV soap begins with Daniel speaking to his father Ken and confides that the trolling is affecting his son Bertie. He also vows to discover who is behind the trolling and says that he would give them a piece of my mind as he prepares to batten down the hatches. Unfortunately for him, Jodie is one of the last people he suspects. That is until he walks in on her later on, where she puts down her phone with a sheepish look. She attempts to play the situation down, but Daniel repeatedly asks to see what she was looking at. She manages to wriggle out of the situation and shows Daniel a video of Megan being doused in milkshake while walking through town. Daniel falls for Jodie's manipulation and subsequently thanks her. An emotional Daniel expresses how much the trolling is affecting both him and Bertie and blames himself for ever getting involved with Megan. He confesses that he feels terrible over the whole ordeal and wishes for the harassment to end. This elicits a response in Jodie, who appears to feel at least a flicker of emotion when hearing Daniel's words. As he points out that the trolling is affecting a child, Jodie seemingly feels some guilt for her actions. This represents a change, with the character having never previously shown any remorse for her damaging antics. Will this lead her on a path to redemption, which may include coming clean to Daniel? In the latest ITVX early release episode of Coronation Street, Jodie's storyline takes a dramatic and unexpected turn that no one in Weatherfield saw coming. What begins as a seemingly minor personal struggle slowly spirals into something far more intense, as Jodie crosses a line she can't easily step back from. The episode doesn't just tweak her arc, it reshapes it entirely, turning her from a background presence into one of the most talked-about figures on the street. Jodie has always been written as someone hovering at the edge of chaos. Not quite stable, not fully reckless, but always one emotional trigger away from tipping over. In earlier scenes across recent episodes, viewers notice subtle signs: her growing frustration at work, strained friendships, and a sense that she felt overlooked in almost every space she entered. But in this ITVX episode, those small cracks finally break wide open. The episode opens quietly. Weatherfield feels ordinary. Deirdre's familiar corner cafe hums with chatter, the cobbles glisten after a light rain, and life continues as if nothing is about to change. Jodie appears calm at first, almost unusually composed. She smiles more than usual, speaks politely, and even helps a neighbor carry shopping bags. But the audience quickly realizes this calm isn't peace, it's control. And control, in Jodie's case, never lasts long. The turning point begins with a misunderstanding at work. A comment she overhears, casual, unintentional, and not even aimed at her directly, hits a nerve she has been silently protecting for weeks. Instead of brushing it off, Jodie fixates on it. The episode cleverly uses close-up shots and lingering pauses to show her internal shift. Her expression tightens. Her silence becomes heavier. Something inside her starts to tilt. What makes this version of Jodie's story so compelling is that she doesn't instantly explode. Instead, she calculates. She begins piecing together conversations, reinterpreting harmless interactions as personal slights. The writing leans into psychological tension rather than overt drama. Even the soundtrack fades at moments, leaving only ambient street noise, footsteps, distant chatter, a door closing too sharply. By mid-episode, Jodie has convinced herself that she's being deliberately undermined. Whether that's true or not becomes less important than how real it feels to her. This is where the story changes direction. In earlier versions of her arc, Jodie might have confronted someone directly or walked away. But in this ITVX version, she chooses escalation. She begins subtly interfering in situations around her. A misplaced message here. A delayed delivery there. Small disruptions that could be dismissed as coincidence, but accumulate into something more deliberate. The audience is left guessing. Is she orchestrating events, or is she simply unraveling and attributing meaning where none exists? The tension peaks when Jodie overhears a private conversation that seems to confirm her fears. Two familiar faces from the street are discussing workplace dynamics, and while they never mention her directly, she interprets their words as a coded attack. The camera lingers on her face as understanding hardens into resolve. This is the moment she goes too far. Instead of confronting them or stepping back, Jodie makes a decision that shifts the tone of the entire episode. She acts, not impulsively, but with unsettling calm. She manipulates a situation designed to expose what she believes is happening behind her back. The plan is not physically dangerous, but emotionally explosive. It is meant to force truth into the open, no matter the cost, but Weatherfield is not a place where secrets stay controlled for long. As the plan unfolds, things begin to spiral beyond her intention. A misunderstanding snowballs. Innocent people get caught in the crossfire. Relationships that were already fragile begin to crack under pressure. The episode balances this escalation carefully, never fully villainizing Jodie, but also refusing to excuse her actions. She is both victim and instigator, trapped in a loop of her own assumptions. One of the most powerful moments comes when Jodie realizes she may have misread everything. There's a brief pause in her momentum, a moment where she could still stop, still explain, still undo some of the damage. But pride and fear override logic. Instead of backing down, she pushes forward, sealing her fate in the storyline. The fallout is immediate. Confrontations erupt across multiple locations on the street. Characters who were previously unrelated to Jodie's emotional journey are suddenly drawn into it. The community dynamic shifts, as whispers spread and alliances form. The writing cleverly mirrors classic Coronation Street structure, small-town interconnectedness turning a personal issue into a public crisis. By the final act, Jodie stands at the center of the chaos she helped create. But instead of triumph or clarity, there is only confusion. The plan has not brought truth. It has multiplied misunderstanding. People are hurt. Trust is broken. And Jodie herself looks less like someone in control and more like someone standing in the wreckage of their own certainty. The episode ends on a quiet but unsettling note. There is no dramatic resolution, no immediate punishment, and no clean redemption. Instead, Jodie is left isolated, watching the consequences unfold around her. A final shot lingers as she sits alone, realizing that going too far doesn't always feel like a single moment. It feels like waking up too late to stop what you've already set in motion. This ITVX episode effectively redefines Jodie's character. It transforms her from a peripheral presence into a deeply complex figure whose actions blur the line between intention and perception. It asks uncomfortable questions. How much of conflict is real, and how much is created by fear? When does self-protection become self-destruction? In true Coronation Street fashion, the drama isn't just in what happens. It's in how ordinary life becomes the backdrop for extraordinary emotional collapse. And with Jodie's story now irrevocably changed, the street feels just a little less stable than it did before. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Coronation Street Scoop News Update.